Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. My name is Caroline and welcome to the fam. Today we have lots of things to cover. I know it's been only a week since I last talked to you, but I have accumulated a lot of things and topics and stuff that we need to discuss. So let's have a chat, shall we? Today I thought I would do a how to read more books or your guide to reading kind of video, just because I've been reading a lot more than I was last year, and I have gathered some tips and tricks in order to help you read more if that's something that you want to do in the new year. We just finished the first quarter of 2025, so it's still time to start again and to pick up new hobbies and pick up new books and to start working towards your goal. So it's never too late to start. But before we talk about books and reading in general, I have a lot of things to update. First, I want to talk to you about my complete journal ecosystem slash journal setup. I know it's been only a week, but I have decided to start journaling, and if you follow me on my TikTok, I have touched on this topic a little bit already, and I have shown you my unboxing of my journal and also all sorts of the different thoughts that I have in terms of setting up my system of journaling. I decided to purchase a journal. And it's not like the Louis Carmen or the Paper Republic, don't get me wrong. Those are beautiful, but they're very expensive. And I don't think that as a newbie, I need to spend like $200 on a single leather journal. Although that's gonna be the plan for the next 6 months to a year. If this journal setup works for me, then I might invest in a very high quality buy one and you use it for the lifetime kind of journal. But let me show you my journal setup. I have here 3 journals. I know that's a lot, but I just like to have different journals for different things, and I'm gonna walk you through what each journal looks like and what I use them for. So this is the first journal that I have. So this is the mini kind of a random commonplace notebook that I have. I just found this lying around in my dorm. It's actually my boyfriend's journals and notebooks that he have lying around. So I snatched one, and I intended for this to be, random jotting down your notes on the go kind of notebook, just because whenever I was like out and about, I do have a lot of ideas and thoughts kind of pop up into my head. I already like started jotting down a couple, as you can see. And so I would use these notebooks to write down for example, I write down that I need to watch the Minecraft movie, which I haven't. And then Apocalypse Now movie, which is a movie about the Vietnam War and just Viet Cong and just learning about the Vietnam War in general. And then I just have different thoughts that I want to do, topics for my journal. I have jotted down some topics, and also just random quotes or random thoughts that I thought of, or I heard in passing, or I found something inspirational or intriguing, then I might just jot it down very quickly in this notebook. It's also very thin and very compact and very small, so this fits perfectly in my backpack in the little pouches that I have. And so yeah, my random commonplace notebook. In combination with this one, I have this ring kind of binder situation. It is a lot bigger of a notebook than this mini one. This is the size reference if you are curious. And I intend for these two to be used in combination with each other, because this one is for, quick notes, quick thoughts, and then I tend to elaborate on those thoughts and those notes later in this notebook. I plan to use this notebook for themed kind of journaling prompts. I've already jotted down some ideas and some essays. I call them essays just for easy reference, but I have written a essay on friendship, and then acne, and then creativity and balance and femininity. So all of the things that I write in this notebook is very themed and structured, if you want to think of that way. Also, I jotted down my book notes. So I heard somewhere on TikTok that I need to be consuming my books more critically and thoughtfully. So I have designated a section in the notebook for book thoughts and book notes. So this is Women Who Run with the Wolves. And I have jotted down some notes, and I intend to use 2 pages per book. I don't know if that's like enough. And then I am reading Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wang. So I have some thoughts there. So book notes, thought essays, manifestation, shadow work, positivity, or gratitude journal. So this is a very themed notebook. if you want to say so. And I don't know if I should bring this around with me everywhere I go, because it's not like I have the need or the desire or the time to be sitting down and write an entire essay whenever I'm out and about. So I don't know, but I tried carrying these 3 notebooks that I have around with me today, and to be honest, they're a bit heavy. And I have other things like my laptop and my iPad and my books e-reader, and I feel like it's just a lot. So for now, I think this can be my home journal, and just whenever I'm at home and I need to, you know, elaborate or think things through, then I might use that. But anyway, these two are meant to be used together, so they're kind of like an extension of one another. So quick notes, more thought out, more refined, elaborate notes. And then my favorite, I mean, I don't want to pick favorites, but I think this is more leaning towards my favorite notebooks out of the 3. And this is the notebook that my boyfriend gifted to me when he figured out that I wanted to get back into journaling. So that was very nice of him, and I'm very thankful. But this is the Moleskine soft cover expanded notebook in the size medium. I think it has 400 pages instead of just 200 pages like the normal non-expanded version. And this is my real serious notebook in a while that I have. When I was in high school, I used to journal every single day and have a designated diary where I keep my entries and just brain dumping every single day. And I stopped journaling when I was, I think, graduating from high school, just because I thought that it was just too much and I didn't have the time to do journaling, or I just didn't feel like doing journaling. So it's been like, you know, 4 or 5 years, and I've decided to start back journaling, just because I feel like it's gonna be a very, very intentional hobby, but a very useful hobby. And also, I remember when I was doing my diary and journaling every single day when I was in high school, I really enjoyed the feeling of being able to put my thoughts down onto paper. And I realized that whenever I'm having a anxiety or panic attack or just anxious, writing down really helps. Instead of just typing or talking things out, I think writing specifically really, really helps, calms me down and grounds me. And I just really appreciate the feeling of having everything in one notebook. This is my like everything notebook, like if you want to think of it that way. So brain dumping, more free flowing instead of more structure, like this ring notebook. I have been creating lists in here, like writing down my TBR, my books of 2025, as you can see. I don't know if you can see, or it's gonna be cut off, but hopefully you can see it. I'm starting to document my books, and also at the back I have my TBR that I very quickly made up. It's not finished, obviously. My TBR is more longer than that. And then I have my skin cycling schedule, very, very random. But you know, I'm dealing with acne, and I just bought some new products, spoiler. So I thought, you know, just put everything into this notebook. Why not? And I love the navy blue. We're matching, you can't tell. I was like, should I get the black one? Because everybody has the black one, but then this one is $7 cheaper than the black one, and I don't have a problem with navy, so I thought let's go with the cheaper option. I've heard people saying and complaining that the paper quality is a bit thin, and I agree. It's very thin. As you can see, it's very thin. And they've been saying that their pens kind of bleed through, which I don't experience. So I've been journaling for the last 2 days or something already, and I don't have a problem with my pen bleeding through. If you can see, like, it's very neat, very tidy. Nothing is bleeding through whatsoever. So I think depending on the type of pen you use, I definitely don't recommend using the fountain pen or the ink pen with this journal, because the paper is very thin. But I use a ballpoint pen, and it was fine. Another thing that I really like about this journal is that it lays very flat. So no matter what page you're in or you're on, it lays completely flat like that, which I appreciate a lot, because it means that it's just more comfortable, you know, writing on this notebook. And so I really, really like this one. It's very, very minimalistic, but I just love the look and feel of it. It is definitely a lot thinner than I expect for a 400 pages book because comparison, this ring notebook, this is 200 pages and this one is 400 pages and they're kind of about the same size. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're purchasing this book or this notebook, but I think it's very compact. It's actually not that big. This is my hand for comparison. So I really like that about. That's my complete journal setup, and I do plan to be color coordinate my pen color with the notebooks. So this mini notebook I have deep green, this navy blue book I use black, but then this one I use navy blue. So it's kind of like a switch up in terms of color, and I think it's gonna be very interesting. But I'm not gonna be restricting myself to using only one color. I am intending to make things very colorful, especially in my journal, my everything journal. But then in the more structured and themed notebook, I might stick to one color, but I don't know. So that's the first update that I have. The other is just skin wise, acne. So I've been dealing with acne obviously for the past 5 or 6 years, and silly me, last Sunday I filmed a Get Unready with me. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll probably see it. But it is a video where I put on this sheet mask. This daily sheet mask. Let me show you. 1 second. So I put on this daily sheet mask. It's running out. This is the One Din Effect Water Toning Concentrated Essence Mask. And I thought my skin was calm enough for me to use this mask. Turns out I was wrong. And on Monday, which means I was breaking out, and then yesterday I was also breaking out. It was because it's my fault, but still it does not feel good at all. So I went down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out what's going on and what's wrong with my skin, because my boyfriend also uses this mask and he was fine and he didn't break out. He was fine. His skin was fine. Obviously everybody's skin is different, but still I was like, what's going on? And I also used the Beauty of Joseon rice milk whatever toner, and he was fine using that, and I was breaking out from that product. And I don't know what's going on. So lots of different instances where my boyfriend's skin was fine using certain products, but mine was not. So I put a question mark right there. But then yesterday I heard a TikTok content creator talking about something called fungal acne. And I know, at first I was like, what even is fungal acne? And I don't think I had fungal acne, or at least I thought I didn't have fungal acne. But then she was talking about how, like, you know, it looks like this, the skin is not necessarily looking like you're breaking out, but you have tiny bumps, yada yada yada. And I was like, okay, that sounds familiar, because my skin sometimes reacted like with tiny bumps and texture on my face from just random products. And so she recommended this very specific website, but basically it's gonna scan the products or the ingredients in the product and then give you a kind of a check mark saying that, oh, if this product is safe for your skin to use or not, or if this product is gonna cause some irritation, some reactivity, and if there are certain products that can be not good for fungal acne or can make you fungal acne prone. And I was looking at the vitamin C that I've been using, the Dr. Arthea vitamin C boosting serum, and I saw one product that it says to be very high reactivity, and yes, I agree, it broke me out. And then I was looking at the Beauty of Joseon rice milk whatever toner, and it has this one specific product called ferment lysate. Apparently it's food for the fungal or the fungi on your face. If you are prone to fungal acne, then if you're using that Beauty of Joseon toner, then it's gonna cause fungal acne. And so my boyfriend doesn't have breakouts or fungal acne from using that product, but I did. So I was like, okay, I have fungal acne. So using that website was very useful. What I did was that I looked for the new products that I wanted to try out, and they're all clear. So that's good. So that brings me on to the next point of the products that I wanted to test out, and I'm going to be documenting this entire journey. So I bought these. I know, in the unboxing or the acne chit chat video that I had on my on my TikTok channel, I said that I'm not going to be purchasing stuff. especially if I'm in the mindset of retail therapy. But I did. I gave in. I surrendered. And I was curious because people have been saying that these two make the life-changing combination of fighting acne, reducing redness, fighting bacteria, and just improving your skin. So I'm gonna be inserting a clip of me unboxing the products and talking about my reasoning behind my purchase right now. This is a very exciting package. This is the new skincare product that I purchased, so I thought I would do a little unboxing with you guys and then talk a bit about the products that I decided to purchase. There's gonna be a ASMR little moment here. There we go. That is very satisfying. So I bought two things. This is the first thing that I bought. This is the Anua Azelaic acid 10% serum. I just needed to try the azelaic acid because they said that it's not gonna be making your skin purge a lot because it's supposed to be very gentle. So this is the first product that I purchased. And also I've heard that this specific serum has hyaluronic acid and other soothing ingredients as well. So it's not gonna be only active products but also other products that help build your skin barrier. So that's the first product. I don't know what that is. Oh, this one is huge. Side comparison, this one is huge compared to this one. It's a lot thicker as well. So this is the other toner that I bought. This is the Equalberry swimming pool toner. And okay, so I've heard lots of mixed reviews about this toner. Some people say that they love it. Some people say that it break them out. So this is more of a testing out product. But people have been saying that this combination is life-changing. And I'm curious to see how life-changing it is. And it's supposed to be like an essence of some sort. It's not really a toner. As you can see, it's pretty thick compared to a toner. And this is a very, very, very mild exfoliant because the science behind this product is that it uses protease, which is an enzyme that breaks down proteins. And apparently it breaks down the kind of glycosidic bonds in your different skin layer and, you know, make your skin turn over at a quicker rate. I just know that protease is an enzyme and it breaks down proteins, but I don't know which protein it breaks down. But apparently this is one of the more, if not the most gentle and soothing exfoliant, and also packed with other ingredients in terms of soothing and healing the barrier as well. I spent this morning coming up with a skin cycling schedule to use, and I am gonna be disciplined now, finally, to follow through with that plan. But yeah, this is the... It is cold. Okay, it looks very luxe and very, very sturdy. A little appreciation moment for the beauty. This is my little unboxing. I am excited to try out these two products in combination with one another, and I will be doing a update real soon. But yeah, back to the video. Okay, welcome back. So now that you have heard my thoughts, we'll see. But I did, like I mentioned in that video, I did create a skin cycling schedule in my handy dandy notebook. Actually, I'm gonna show you. And people have been saying that the maximum amount of times that you should be using azelaic acid, it's 3 times max a week. So I kind of schedule and structured, or at least I did show you this already. So that's the plan, and I'm gonna be reporting back next week, and hopefully with better skin and calmer, happier, less irritated, less res, less breaking out skin. If you have tried out these two products, let me know if it broke you out or not, or if you loved it, if you hated, mixed feelings, whatever comments, concerns, questions you have. Please help the girl out because I am struggling over here. But yeah, final update before you get into the topic of reading more and your guide to reading. I want to do a bit of an update in terms of books that I've been reading. My last curtain next read. So I finished The Poppy War. I know, Last week I talked to you and I was like, I'm reading The Poppy War, but then I finished it. There's actually a reading vlog on my TikTok, so go watch it and hear all my full reviews and thoughts and everything. That was actually a very good book. Long story short, I gave it 4.5 stars, and so it was a solid book. I was like, should I go into the next book in the series? It is a trilogy, but then I'm like, I should wait because I have other books to finish on my TBR and I needed a break from the system. So I did not pick up book 2, but it was a very solid book. Loved the world building, loved the character development, loved the platonic relationship between Rin and Kate, and just her character arc, character development. I can really see why she makes the decisions that she made. So very believable. That's my last read. Currently, I'm reading Exit West, which is a kind of magical realism, dystopian kind of novel for my world literature course. So we are reading that novel along with other novels like Leo Tolstoy, Death in Venice. No, Leo Tolstoy's Death of Ivan Ilyich, and then Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. So I finished both of those novellas already. And then I'm reading Exit West, which is a novel. And so far, I still haven't finished it, but I think it's a very solid book. I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I don't know what it is about a book. I think it's very interesting, very fast-paced. The world and the setting was very interesting. It's like set in the future, but also set in the present. I don't know. It's like in the Middle East. It's the country in the Middle East, but we don't know which country it is. And we follow Nadia and Said's on their journey of figuring things out, especially among every other people while the war is breaking out. So there's a war breaking out in the country that they're living in, and so it involves these doors, so these magical doors that whenever you open the doors, you will be led to a completely different place, and it goes from like undesirable poor place to a more desirable wealthy rich kind of more higher quality life places. So as you can tell, like people from poorer countries or countries who are experiencing distraught or political instability, they would want to get through that doors to go to the more desirable countries. So that's what Nadia and Said did, and we followed them in terms of trying to figure out, because they have to migrate, and it's basically a story of migration, immigration, emigration, whatever you want to think it, and they're ending up in London right now at the point that I'm reading the book. And so I haven't finished. I have about 1/3 of the book left, and I think I'm going to finish it tomorrow because we do have a discussion on Friday in the literature course about that book. And so yeah, I highly recommend. For Death in Venice and Death of Ivan Ilyich, those are weird literature. Very weird, very convoluted, jumbled, and just so weird sentence structures, but at the same time, it is a very timeless story. I mean, they're both classics, but they talked about class, commentary on class, on rank, on wealth, on etiquette, and just unconditional and conditional love. And also in Death in Venice, we talked about this kind of ethical morality about art, and to what extent can art be considered unethical, and also like the overarching message of the two novellas are very interesting. I'm also reading Woman Who Run with the Wolves. I'm actually very enjoying the book, and then I have been jotting down some notes, as you can tell. I also have been writing about the book because I think certain topics are very interesting. I read about creativity and femininity and how the author kind of compares the creativity within us with a river of life. And so in order for us to have continuous flow of creativity and this will to create, the river that we have within us needs to be kept clean and unpolluted. So it's a very interesting topic, and I wrote about it in this book. And one thing that I've been thinking a lot about, I know, lots of thinking lately, whether or not I should publish the journals or the essays that I have written down. I'm not going to be publishing the things that I said in this notebook just because these are my diary essentially and very intimate. But the thought essays or the themed kind of journal prompts, I don't have any problem with publishing it. And also I was like writing a essay on friendship, and I thought that I was excellent. You know, my writing was excellent, and the way that I wrote was excellent. I really enjoyed that. And so I tried publishing this first essay onto Substack. We're still testing it out, so I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing or not. But so far I've had like several essays in here that I want to publish. But, you know, we'll see. I've been on this creativity or creation arc lately. So everything that I've been consuming, creating, I do want to publish and make it known. And also I think that, you know, publishing it on Substack is another way to kind of retain and keep the essays kind of forever and permanent, because I don't know if whenever I move out of the duplex or whenever I move around in different countries, do I want to be carrying like 20 different notebooks with me? You know what I mean? So it's more economical and space saving kind of notion. But yeah, those are the books that I'm reading. Let's jump straight into the topic. Okay, so how to read more. My first kind of tip for you if you want to read more is that to start with fiction or genres that you know are going to be fast-paced, that can draw you in, that would make you feel addicting and want to keep reading. Like page turner, essentially. So I have a couple of genres that I gravitate towards whenever I'm a reading slump. Because whenever I'm in a reading slump, I still feel like wanting to pick up the book, but I cannot, because I cannot concentrate on reading the book, essentially. So that's when I gravitate towards more fast-paced, quick, easy to read, comprehensible, not a lot of big words, not a lot of complex world building, intricate things like that. Pick something with a romantic plot, because for me at least, those are like the most easy to read books. So I know that Fourth Wing, the Empyrean series, got me back into reading. I read Fourth Wing last year and I binged Iron Flame right after that. I still have not yet read Onyx Storm because I don't know what I feel, or I don't know how I feel about Onyx Storm and whether or not I do want to continue reading the series or not. I've been hearing a lot of people saying bad things about Rebecca Yarros and also like Sarah J. Maas. So I don't know if I want to continue to support those authors or not. I haven't done any research of my own, to be honest, but I'm like putting a pause on the Onyx Storm train. I know many people have been reading that book and also loving and raving about that book, so I don't know. But Fourth Wing was very fast-paced, very addicting. I think the world building was simple enough, but also complicated in the sense that it makes you question stuff and it makes you think. So Fourth Wing, Crescent City was also the same. I know, it's kind of ironic that I said that I'm not going to be supporting Rebecca Yarros and also Sarah J. Maas, but I'm recommending their books. But anyway, I digress. Crescent City, it follows Bryce Quinlan. Crescent City is one of those series that is very intimidating. I know, the books are like this thick, 1,000 pages or something, and there are 3 books out already. I think there's gonna be a 4th one coming out soon or not soon, but it follows Bryce Quinlan on her very, very chaotic, dramatic, and life-risking journey. It is very fast-paced. The found family was okay. Lots of swearing though. That's what struck me when I first read Crescent City. The world at the beginning was very hard to understand, but once you get past the part of just grasping and understanding the world, it got pretty easy to understand and comprehend what's going on. So I recommend that, but it's more of a intermediate kind of a fantasy series. So I recommend Fourth Wing first and then going into Crescent City later if you want a more advanced intermediate kind of fantasy series. And then Akatar, I know that's very well beloved, but I DNF the series. I know, I read 4 books. I got until A Court of Silver Flames or whatever the books that after that, whatever it is, and then I DNF it because I was like, it's just too dragged out. I got bored. It's not as fast paced, and I know some people loved the 5th book in the series, but I did not, and I was just so bored. But the first 3 books were very good, and I think it's very easy to understand. There's this perfect kind of love triangle going on, so it keeps you on your toes and keep you guessing who's gonna be the MMC. I know, no, everybody knows that Rhysand is gonna be the MMC, but you can figure out why he is the MMC and not Tamlin. Very good. I recommend. One of my favorite series that I've just read recently, The Book of Azrael, or the Gods and Monsters series by Amber V. Nicole. It is amazing. If Fourth Wing and Akotar and Crescent City is like a solid 3 stars or 4 stars to me, Gods and Monsters series like a banging 5-star or even 6 stars. It is very good. I enjoyed that. And I know people have been like saying that doesn't make sense, not logical, but I enjoyed it, and that's all that matters. We're following Diana and Liam / Samkio on their love journey, and they're enemies to lover, although the enemies to lover is not very enemies to lover. They're like enemies to friends to lover, but it's very quick. It's not a slow burn. Many people have been saying that they would prefer it to be more slow burn than that, which I understand. It is a bit fast. I do agree. But it is very fast paced, very interesting. It keeps you on your toe guessing, and it is very, very high stake. So I enjoy like rooting for Diana and Tamlin and vouching for them to not die. But it is very logical. I love the character development. Their banter was done okay. Book 1, Book 2 was okay. Book 3, the banter improved, so I enjoyed that a lot. That series, I know it's going to be a 5 stars to me, and the next book is going to be out next year. And I believe it's a 7-book incomplete series. I know, that's going to be a long series, but I think it's worth it. Those are my recommendations. Next, start with standalones and not huge, like 20-book series. I know I just given you like recommendations of series, but I think they're not going to be like long-ass series like Zodiac Academy. No shade, no offense whatsoever, but I think I'm DNFing Zodiac Academy just because I cannot stand reading like 10 books to complete the entire story. So start with standalones. So Zodiac Academy can seem a bit intimidating, at least it does to me, but I recommend Ashley Poston's books, The Dead Romantics, The 7 Years Slip. I am gonna be reading a novel story for April. So all of those are standalones, and they are pretty easy to get into, and they're very quick, fast-paced. Once again, romantic subplot or romantic plot, so very comprehensible. The Poppy War also that I just finished is a beautifully written book. It is a very high fantasy kind of book, and I would rank it to be more higher on the fantasy side. So some people find it hard to read the Poppy War just because it's too much of terminologies, and I agree. I also like the first 3 chapters were a bit hard to get through, especially because it's set in, I think, China. Don't quote me on that. The names are a bit hard for me to remember. I think that's my fault, to be honest, because I'm so used to like westernized or American names or like Eurocentric names that for me, like Asian names, at least in novels, are a bit hard for me to grasp and remember. I'm reading like Sword of Kaigen right now, and it's also the same. Like it's set in Japan, and their names are kind of hard, and their name system are kind of different from the English Eurocentric system, but also a Vietnamese system. So I'm having a bit of a difficulty kind of remembering the characters, but I don't think it's gonna be a big problem, to be honest, with the Poppy War, just because the names are kind of short and it's very fast-paced and very easy to understand. So you're gonna be like understanding the material and the characters like in a second. You know, in like 3 chapters, you're gonna be like good to go. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I know it's a chunky book, but I think it's gonna be a good, solid beginner book just because it's, once again, it's set in the war. One thing about that book is that it's a fiction. It's a lit fic, so literary fiction. So it's based off of true events, but everything else is made up. So it's feels very unfamiliar just because we're not in the war right now, like World War II, but at the same time it feels very familiar because it's true events that happened a couple of decades ago. So we are following 2 sisters whose characters are so different from each other, but they each are contributing to the war and to protecting their own country in their own different ways. And the ending, I know people said that the ending broke them. It did to an extent, made me sad, but it's not as sad as the reading the book experience. Because I know that the events that are throughout the book are even sadder than the ending itself. I think that's a decent ending and a very comprehensible ending. I don't expect a happy ending for books like that, but I think what Kristen Hanna does very well in that book is that she gives us a lot of context, and she portrays the suffer of war, just the trauma of war, very, very beautifully and intricately. And we can see how war is so detrimental to the person's psyche, and how war can be very isolating, because we cannot be close to our friends and families, but also we cannot completely be ourselves. That makes sense. So it's gonna be very isolating in terms of the effects of war. And I think that's something that she does very well, and I can truly relate to, especially as a Vietnamese person whose country has been through a lot of war in the last century. So I can definitely relate to that. And I think that reading that just, you know, hits home to me at least, and I appreciate the story a lot. So The Nightingale, I recommend that. Even though it sounds intimidating and it seems intimidating, I do agree, like, it took me a while before I got into that book. I was kind of procrastinating, and people have been kind of overreacting that it's like the saddest thing in the world, but I don't think it is sad. I think it's beautiful and, in a sense, very delightful to read. So the next tip that I have is try to make reading a habit. And this could mean carrying a book around with you at all times, even though it's a bit bulky. Or if you want to, you can have your own e-reader. The book's e-reader that I have, I don't have it here. And I don't feel like getting up, so I cannot show you, but you've probably seen it once in a while already on my channel. But having an e-reader or a book at all times with me just kind of forces me to read more, and that I have to remind myself that whenever I am intending to, you know, pick up my phone and scroll, I opt for reading the book or journaling, now that I have journaling. So it cuts down my screen time significantly. And over time, repeating those habits and, you know, opting for the books instead of scrolling your phone, that builds up the muscle memory, and it actually like makes you want to read more, especially if you're in like the middle of the book or in a very climactic point. You cannot wait to get reading and keep reading. And the reason why I chose the Books Go Color 7 instead of the Kobo Libra or the Kindle is because I like the freedom that the books give you. And for the Kobo Libra, I don't like having a pen with me, and I don't feel the need to have a pen. I know that you don't have to buy the pen with the Kobo Libra, but I feel like just because they're advertising the pen with the Kobo Libra, I feel like I have to, but I don't want to. And the Kobo Libra, they has their own kind of system as well. So it's very similar to Kindle in that sense of having their own kind of, it's like another kind of a Kindle Unlimited, but for Kobo Libra, if that makes sense. And the Kindle, I don't support Amazon just because of recent news coming out about how like you cannot translate or transfer your digital books from one device to the other, so it stays in your Kindle only. And I feel like that's very restricting, and I like to have a certain freedom with my books just because those are my books, right? So that's why I opted for the Books Go Color 7, and I think I prefer to have color. And I think the Books Go Color 7 is one of the newest, at that time when I was purchasing it, the newest device that had color features in them. So that's why I opted for that. I don't have any problem with that so far. It is very good, and I like the freedom of it in that you can download Google Play. And so any app that you can find on the Google Play store, you can download on your books, and I like that. It's very free, and the freedom of it just brings me comfort. On that note, get a library card or Libby. So Libby, I have not figured out how to use Libby. I don't know how it works. I've heard people saying that's life-changing, and I agree. That means I can read for free. I got a library card last year already, and I've just started to check out more books. I checked out House of Leaves already by... I wrote it down somewhere. Okay, so House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. Hopefully I'm pronouncing their name correctly. It's a classic, and I heard Brady on TikTok talked about that book yesterday, and I was like, I have to check it out. And one thing about classics like those is that they don't take long before you have your own kind of copy of your library, because like books like Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Onyx Storm, they're so popular that they're only like checked out or already like taken by another person, so I can never check those books out. But for like the House of Thieves or other classic, I can check them out. It's kind of sad that those classics don't have as much recognition and attention as the other like famous book talk books, but still, to me at least, it's a benefit. Follow people who talk about books. I love Lara Reads, Mariana, Yana. On YouTube, I follow the plant-based bride. She's amazing. She's been on my channel for a couple of times already, talking about her and taking her recommendations. Carrie Can Read. I love her long, chatty book talk. I just love her. Her recommendations are top tier. And then Katie's Reading as well. Katie's Reading, her videos are comfort videos for me. And whenever I'm like lounging around doing homework or just doing something, I put her reading vlogs on the background. Specifically, her reading vlogs are so aesthetic and so peaceful and calming. I love her video. And then I'm gonna be tagging other creators on the screen, also in the caption, so if you want to get into following more people, check them out. Also, I talk about books, so follow me on TikTok. Okay, the second to last tip that I have is to curate your feed to be filled with books. This is going along with the last tip that I have, which is to follow people on TikTok or YouTube. By watching other people talk about book or reading book or buying book or just doing something about books motivates me, and it kind of gives me this very unique lens of seeing how people can read so much even as they're working a 9 to 5 or even as they're a student. So that kind of gives me no excuse to not read, you know what I mean? And also it's just a very aesthetic pleasing types of videos, and hearing them talk about book, I also kind of pick up on certain recommendations of them, and I know that, oh, this person talked about that story or that series already and it's very good, things like that. So I naturally pick up book series or adding to my TBR the books that they recommend, and then I can read them. So it's like a win-win situation. So I get book recommendations, so I don't have to always be looking out for books, and also I get to hear their thoughts and hear their different reading tastes. Because one thing about reading is that for now, I'm still trying to figure out what my taste in books are. I know that I don't want to cringy YA books, that's just for me. I am gravitating towards more adult books. I do read nonfiction, lit fic, and just some weird like novellas, like I mentioned, and just poems. I also read poems as well. So many different categories, and I've been hearing some people talk about doing like a world book tour, like reading a book from each and every single country. That's a phenomenal idea. I need to, get my hand around that, but I do need to finish the physical TBR first. But that's a brilliant idea. So, just by following people like that and hearing their thoughts about books, and I know that book talkers are very creative and very dedicated in terms of reading and finding books, and so I trust their recommendations to be very subjective, very insightful, but also a very neutral commentary and reviews and comments. So lots of book recommendations, and it keeps me from only reading in the Eurocentric, Anglo-Saxon or English world, but I need to diverge and branch out and read more, I don't know, Latin American novels or mythology, Greek mythologies, Asian inspired, things like that, to keep my reading experience very holistic and very well-rounded, which is something that I do intend to become, a very holistic reader. And then join a book club or follow people on Goodreads or Fable to hear their reviews and to constantly be kind of hearing about books, kind of immersing yourself in this world of books. I think is really helpful, because sometimes books from the outside can seem very intimidating. And it is very intimidating to me, especially if you're in a reading slump or you don't know where to start. Hearing people talk about like 100 books that I read last year can be very intimidating. But by following people on like book club and then hearing or joining in their discussion and hearing how they can dissect and they can just draw so much information from just reading a book or a chapter, and engaging in those conversations kind of make me appreciate the reading experience more and not rush or not view this experience to be something to be feared or to be afraid of. And I really like that. Follow people on Goodreads and Fable, kind of the same thing. Most of them are free, so you don't have to pay. I have not joined a book club just because I don't find one that I like. I think I might join Emmy's book club. I know it's free, but I just, I have not found the time to join a book club. But if you can, find a book club where you live. On my college, one of my seniors, she is hosting a book club, and I think that's amazing. And we are reading The Silent Patient, but I don't know if I should read The Silent Patient or not, just because I have my own TBR. But I might join in on the conversations and just hear what they have to say in terms of that book. That's also very polarizing books on TikTok recently. most people love it, but most people don't love it as well, which I don't understand what's going on. But I might read it or give it a try later. But back to the point, find a book club that you want to be a part of, or it doesn't have to be physical or in person or anything. People have like online book clubs where they meet, I think, once a month to talk about books. So just once again, make sure that you immerse yourself in this space and following people, and maybe changing your perspective in terms of books and how reading can be intimidating. It can also be rewarding and fulfilling and just fun at the same time. So that's all the tips that I have. I know, I think it's gonna be a pretty long video. I apologize for speaking so fast in this video. I tend to get so excited and then I speak very fast. If that's the case, then future me when I'm editing is gonna have a hard problem editing this video. But anyway, I hope you enjoy me rambling about books. I know it's gonna be lots of updates in today's video with skincare, journal, and everything, but I am very, very fulfilled and content with the life that I'm living. I think everything is going great, although I'm still waiting on the summer research announcement. So hopefully, fingers crossed, cross your fingers and toes for me that I get it. I think I do, but we never know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what books you're reading, what books you finished, and what's gonna be your TBR next month. And also, if you have any tips in terms of how to read more, your guide to reading more, or your book series or book recommendations that got you back into reading, let me know down in the comment. And then follow, subscribe, like this video, like, share, comment, you know the drill. And I'm gonna be seeing you back very soon with another episode. So until then, bye bye.